إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. يقول الله تعالى بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. Indeed, all thanks is to Allah Azza wa Jal. We seek refuge in Him and we seek His forgiveness. We seek refuge in Allah from the evil of our own selves and the evil of our actions. For indeed, whomsoever Allah Azza wa Jal has guided to Al-Islam, no one can misguide, and whomsoever Allah Azza wa Jal misguides, no one can guide. And I stand before all of you and I testify openly and freely that there is none worthy of worship except Allah, and that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the last and final messenger and the seal of all prophethood. O you who believe, be God conscious of Allah as is His due, and do not die unless you're in the state of Islam. Be God conscious of the Lord who created you from one soul, and from that soul many men and many women, and fear Allah in whose names you appeal to one another and honor family ties. Indeed, Allah is ever over you and I, an observer, a watcher. This khutbah today was inspired by a submission on the khutbah ICF community suggestions, khutbah community suggestions. And if you would like for a topic to be talked about on the minbar, then you can submit a form online and inshallah it will be addressed. Jazakumullah khairan. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is telling us in the Sahih, a hadith most of us, if not all of us, have heard before, where he says, كلكم راع ألا كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته فالإمام الذي على الناس راع وهو مسؤول عن رعيته. That every one of you is a shepherd, and every one of you is responsible for his flock. And so the Imam is responsible over his people, and the man is responsible over his household, and the wife is responsible over her flock. Every single person will be asked and questioned about his or her responsibility. The prophets will be asked about their responsibility in delivering the message, and you and I will be responsible and will be asked about our responsibility in delivering the message, in delivering the warning. And so I'm here today to, inshallah, fulfill my responsibility in delivering the message and delivering the warning of the paganistic practice that is to come in a couple of days, aka also known as Halloween. Because when the child comes to the parent asking about Halloween, most of us have experienced what it's like to tell the child that this is a haram practice. And the child leaves, often finding it difficult, because what seems attractive is candy and costumes. Yet this is one, if not the first, experiences, encounters that a child will experience in his or her life in which the haram seems attractive. And that if the child is able to understand, is able to comprehend, is able to get through this encounter, then you will find that child to grow with a foundation and able to handle and able to stay away from the haram, no matter how attractive it is. And if they are not able to comprehend or understand, then you'll find that same child to grow tempted with much greater temptations. The very holiday that encourages one to set up horrific inflatables or to dress your children in costumes looking like ghosts, jinn or shayateen or princesses or whatever it may be. While Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, la tattabi'u khutuwat ash-shaytan. Allah is telling you and I, commanding you and I, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe. This is my reminder to myself and to all of the brothers. Do not lose the reward and the Jum'ah by being on your phone. I don't care for your attention. I care for your reward. Allah Azza wa Jalla is telling us, O you who believe, young, old, male, female, لا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان. Do not follow the footsteps of shaitan. And it is upon us to really understand how the shaitan deceives, manipulates, tricks the individual, how shaitan influences the community, how shaitan impacts a society, a country, and the world at large. And you will find even the impact of Halloween has entered the Holy Lands. And I'm not here to blame or shame this country or that country, but to really show the impact of the matter and how wide scale it has become. And when COVID-19 came around, we witnessed as Muslims how dedicated these disbelievers were in holding on to their practice, to this holiday, that even when COVID-19 came around, you found tables of free candy put outside of the home to keep the social distancing, but to keep the holiday in practice. And I have to say, and I don't apologize, what a shame it was and what it still is to see Muslims, parents, driving down these streets and making a pit stop to either let their children or they themselves take a bag of candy. Thinking to themselves, it's not technically trick-or-treating. That if it's not knocking on the door, if it's not saying trick-or-treating or trick-or-treat, then it's not really Halloween. My dear brothers and sisters, this is tricking yourselves. And more importantly, this is teaching the next generation how to create loopholes in Islam. And you'll find the trial exists not just with the children, but even with the young adults or even the bigger adults. Where you'll find maybe ice cream shops or chain restaurants advertising that if you come inside with a certain kind of costume, then you'll get a discount off your meal. And again, what a shame that you'll find Muslims who don't really think it's being involved in the practice. Brother, it's just about my intention. I just want the food. My dear brothers and sisters, this is all part of the agenda. To take what you like, mix it with some haram, magnify it, beautify it, put a discount on it so that you can get a certain amount of dollar off your meal. And I have to say very bluntly that I don't care if the candy is free or not free. The Halloween candy is free or not free. I don't care if the meal is discounted, Halloween discount, or not discounted, Halloween discount. You will find the upright household. You will find the upright Muslim has nothing to do, wants nothing to do with that which contradicts Islamic principle. Then what is Islamic principle? What is Islam teaching us? As the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is telling us, "Man tashabbaha biqawmin fahuwa minhum." That whoever imitates a people is from them, is of them. Those who act like women when they're not, those who act like men when they're not, those who act like a kafir, those who act like a mushrik. We are here in America to act and be and represent Islam and to show Islam at its forefront. And we have no want or need for any adding or subtracting to the religion, because it is a religion that has been perfected. I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to make us among the Muslims and to enable our children to follow us in that path. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Inshallah, just a couple of quick announcements. Please renew your ICF membership as soon as possible to participate in this year's elections. Nomination will be due next week, inshallah. Next Friday will be the last day for third Jum'ah, offered at 3:15 due to daylight savings time. ICF is, inshallah, planning to offer the third Jum'ah at the same time again in March of next year. ICF Youth Group will be having a bonfire halaqah for ages 13 and up next Saturday after Maghrib. Sunday school registration ends on October 31st. After October 31st, we will start a waiting list for registration. If you are interested in donating to the school or sponsoring tuition for a student, please reach out to Brother Serkan or Brother or Sister Crystal. Sisters Youth Group is planning a trip to the aquarium. More information will be shared in the ICF Youth Sisters Group. وَجَزَاكُمُ اللَّهُ خَيْرًا. Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anh reported that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam arrived in Medina during 2 days in which they were celebrating. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he asked, what are these 2 days? And they replied, these are 2 days that we used to celebrate in the time of ignorance, in our time of jahiliyyah. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he responded, he said, verily Allah Azza wa Jalla has replaced these 2 days with 2 better days, Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr. This is what we have in Islam. This is what we are given in Islam. And my dear brothers and sisters, we need to be aware that a chain of holidays celebrated in America are coming. We have Halloween. After Halloween, we have Thanksgiving. After Thanksgiving, there's Christmas. After Christmas is New Year's. You name it, America has it. But we as Muslims need to realize that Islam, especially here in America, starts at the household. It starts with your children inside of your home, your responsibility. And we need to be aware of how we teach our children when they walk out the front door, how to interact with the society, how to interact with the public schools. And the matter is not difficult, it just requires a bit of effort and a bit of attention from our end. And I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to make us excellent parents and give us righteous offspring. Inshallah, when you go home today, I want you to go and just research Halloween if you don't already know. And if you do already know, or once you've gathered your information about what this practice is, get your spouse and discuss with him or her about what your plan is in approaching your children. What your plan is in how to establish a united front in teaching your children how to interact with society and what's going on around the world. And this brings me to my next point, and that is to make sure you approach your children before their friends or the public school or the environment approaches them. And I'm not talking about in an interrogation kind of way. No, but rather approach them and reach them first with compassion. Get them, sit down with them, ask them questions. What are your friends doing? And what do you think about that? Let them come to their own rational conclusion with your guidance. Guide them to come up with a rational idea. Do you really think that dressing as a devil or dressing as a ghost or dressing in these or participating in these is right? Again, not in an interrogating kind of way, but with compassion and mercy. Try to teach them, bring light, shed light on the topic. Go to the public schools. It takes 1 hour out of your day. And make known. Make known. Show them that this is something that we don't participate in. And when you explain this to your children, most importantly, find an alternative. Don't sit there and tell them that this is something that's haram and leave them empty-handed. Gather them on that night. Do something else. Do something that they find attractive, something that they find fun. Distract them, isolate them from that which is haram. And give them something better. Give them an alternative. When you go to the schools, sit down and talk with the teacher. Tell them, we understand. We really understand, but we really would love for our son, we really would love for our daughter not to participate in this. It takes 1 hour out of your day. Turn off the porch light so that other children, other kids in your neighborhood are not coming to knock on the door. Do it with the right intention and watch how Allah Azza wa Jal makes your children among the righteous. Establish them in knowing what's right and what's wrong. Giving them a sound mind, a sound creed. It starts from the home. It starts with how you establish yourself in the home. But if you're not making yourself known, if you're not speaking to the teachers, you know the American saying is, closed mouth doesn't get fed. What does that mean? That we have to speak up. We have to go to the schools. They have to accommodate. They will accommodate. It's part of the policy. But if we don't speak up, if we don't let our needs be known, then nothing's going to happen. No accommodation is going to happen. And this is how we need to be, both inside the home and outside the home. Unapologetically religious. Unapologetically. And so to conclude, inshallah, I really hope that we got the point and the message has been given. And for the purposes of this khutbah, I purposely and intentionally did not write a poem out of fear of becoming a mubtadi'ah, someone who innovates in the religion. That is, writing a poem in and of itself or writing a poetic summary in and of itself is not haram, nor is it haram to even deliver it in the khutbah. But to establish it consistently or to make it a consistent practice that people will begin to think that a khutbah requires a poem or that a poem needs to be included in the khutbah, while that is not the case, akramakumullah. And ask Allah Azza wa Jal to keep us stead firm on the path in this and show us truth as truth and the falsehood as falsehood. I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to keep us steadfast on the religion and to keep us firm upon the path. I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to bless us with righteous offspring who will be the leaders of the next generation. I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make our children our reason for our paradise. I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to bless us with children who are memorizers of the Quran and leaders of the Ummah. I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to help our brothers and sisters who are suffering in East Turkestan and Palestine and Lebanon and all around the world. I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to destroy their oppressors and accept the martyrs. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروه يزدكم واستغفروه يغفر لكم واتقوه يجعل لكم من أمركم مخرجا وأقم الصلاة